Just stay true to yourselves. Do not try to chase anyone, don't try to copy anyone. Just be confident. Go into this tournament, play your next games, believing that you can win everything.
Every player has a dream of becoming the best in the world.
I'm just going to show up, and then I'm going to send Fun Plus Vedius back home.
The Nexus is being focused. It's going down, and Fun Plus...
You've seen the finish line there in the horizon. But time and time again, you have fallen short at the last hurdle.
After 7 years being a boomer, I get to finally make it, and it's great, I guess.
You've watched as champion after champion has lifted that trophy instead of you. It's when you're at your most vulnerable that you discover the truth. Winning alone does not make you the best. Being the best means never giving up.
For Vitality, there's none of it for Perkz.
Your athletic class is determined by how you handle losing.
It is all on Kaiser to try and hold, but I don't think that's possible.
It's about that grueling road towards the finish line. The constant heartbreaks and setbacks that you need to overcome.
The Nexus stones are falling.
So many people experienced their first round of adversity and crumbled. You, on the other hand, did not. You never stopped believing.
Fnatic are your champions! The 6th split in a row will be denied playoffs.
From the outset, you had faith in yourself. You ceased to make excuses. You quit blaming others. You took that setback and transformed it into a driving force.
Fnatic rule Europe. The world awaits.
Even time of trying XL will make playoffs.
Rather than being pressured by the expectations of the crowd, you get up on that stage and you use their roar as a source of energy.
You can't really win if you're not the best.
G2 are your champions! Their 9th title!
This is your time. You can feel it in every limb, muscle, and particle in your body, and the question is, do you have what it takes?
We'll be answering over the next 8 weeks of the regular season and the playoffs. We are here for day 1 of the 20th season of the LEC. And what an honor it is to be on the casting desk. I met it. That guy over there, who isn't on your screen yet, is Vedius. He'll be on your screen in a moment. You've seen him before. We've seen him in many disguises, and we're here for game 1. Vitality up against the Mad Lions.
That we are. It is a pleasure to have you all here. We're going to be jumping into game, but before we do that, you know what we need. It's a bit of hype music. So ahead of the draft, let's listen in.
That's more cheers than we usually hear for a draft phase. I'm going to be honest, no picks, no bans, the crowd is hype. And as are we, obviously on 12-11 here in Europe, the first major region to be playing on this patch. We've seen the durability changes to 12-10. We've seen how that's affected the meta over in the LPL and the LCK. 12-11, a few adjustments to those, but expectations are we'll still be on that same sort of path that we've seen in the Eastern regions.
Definitely agree. Let's have a look. Draven can be the first one removed away from Unforgiven's hands. Things like Senna, Taliyah, Gwen. Over in the LPL, Kayle has been very prominent in terms of priority. Lucian, also an AD carry that many teams will want to try and remove. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the Lucian removed, but it depends on who wants to prioritize it. Right now, with Vitality being on that blue side and with the elimination of a lot of AD carries, it does seem like the Lucian is going to be the priority for them if Mad Lions choose not to ban it away.
Of course, Mad Lions can just say, well, we'll put a man into that. Alongside that, things like the Viego and Wukong are very prominent in the LPL and in the LCK. Gangplank as well, a safe laner, can harass you in lane as well, and scale as well. Of course, Alphari so well known for his Gangplank. No surprises that Mad Lions don't want to be met by the barrel of that gun.
It certainly seemed like that. Teams taking their time, their first day back on stage in what has been quite a while. Of course, a few of these teams did compete in playoffs, Vitality in particular, but the Gwen now is going to be removed.
A few of these teams, one of them did. You're kind of slamming Mad Lions.
They've been on a stage before
yeah, but
as
they
well.
didn't compete in playoffs, did they? There were 7.
This year, but last year, Medics, they've been here. They know the stage. They're excited to be back. And I saw some of the pre-game banter between the two teams. The mental warfare definitely begins in the draft. I'm telling you right now, fans. Let's have a look. Will that Lucian be removed? Will it then be first pick? What are the options here for Mad Lions? Remember, there are a lot of strong junglers still up and available, and it's going to be Ahri removed, which means that things like Taliyah, Viego, but the Lucian, most importantly, is going to be locked in. Now, it's important to remember this champion is a flex pick. Can be played top, can be played mid, can be played in the AD carry role. It will largely be determined by whether or not Team Vitality want to go for an early support. Things like the Nami are very common. Want to remind everyone that Belveth will not be available on this patch. She will not be locked in.
Nah, they're cheering for Yuumi, man. They're just real big Yuumi stands here in the audience. Apparently not anymore.
Mad Lions looking to complete their zoo. They've got the cat, they've got the monkey. Let's see what else they can build on that.
Nidalee would be good.
Certainly would be.
Yeah. Could get Sejuani as well, you've got the ball.
Of course, you've got to remember, Wukong, I foolishly automatically assumed it would be in the jungle as the rest of the world, but it's Armut, the Wukong player, the champion that he's, I believe during the regular season, he's like undefeated on the champion.
Quite possibly, Betty. That's not an easy stat for me to check, so I'm not going to jump into my delve into
but he has a very good record on the champion, so you've got to remember that flexibility being an option. Haru, the new addition to Team Vitality, looks like he will be on that as Zhao. So Vitality going for a pretty early game focused draft so far, a lot of dominant laners, and with the Nami being covered, it does suggest that they will have a very prominent 2 versus 2 bot side of the map with an early game focused jungler.
Gives you a lot of power down towards that bottom lane. Nami Lucian, obviously a great combination. The fact that you can put the Tidecaller's Blessing on the Lucian, that then procs Nami's Electrocute as he dashes in for a couple of auto attacks, makes that Lucian so powerful in the lane and does give you harass potential onto anything that Mad Lions decide to pick. Especially with the Yuumi, who takes a little bit of time to get going. Expectations are the Mad Lions bot lane will be underneath their tower, or at least harassed out for quite a lot of the early game.
So we are going to see Zeri locked in. You want to talk about mobility? This is the bot lane to talk about. Yep. There is so much speed available. Of course, Zeri has had a number of changes throughout the patches. She has been buffed, she has been nerfed, she's been hot-fixed. Even on 12-11, they gave her a little bit more power, and then there was, oh, wait, way too much power. We're going to take some of that away. I'm curious as to what the itemization will look like, because the balance has been trying to shift her more towards this crit itemization. But will we actually see that in pro play? I'm excited to see whether or not Unforgiven will go that direction. We are moving into the second phase. Kayle actually going to be removed. So for those that may be a little bit confused, over in the East, we've been seeing a lot of Kayle priority. Bans, picks, even blind picks for the champion, because the durability changes have made scaling champions much safer in the early game, allowing them to get through that weak point and then become a menace as the game progresses.
I mean, Yamada talked about a bit in Euphoria. It's like, if you make a mistake in lane, it's not as easy to punish you anymore. It's not as easy to force you out of lane. It's not as easy to make you burn your teleport to get back into the lane. So Kayle, very safe up towards that top side. Twisted Fate banned away from Nisqy, something that he's played so many times before. Of course, when he was on Fnatic last year, it was the Twisted Fate that he was known for. And now with the LeBlanc taken away from Perkz, we're just seeing a lot of signature picks removed from our pool here, Vedi.
Certainly seems like that.
Aatrox
being removed, an Armut special. One of the things
also, mid Aatrox is really big at the moment.
That was definitely something that Showmaker did showcase. But typically, you expect that when paired up with an AP jungler. Not something that I'm expecting coming into this game, of course. The card that's being hovered right now is a throwback to Unforgiven, his first week last split, where he did bring that out and surprised many. But I'm curious as to the direction Mad Lions are going. It does seem like that Teamfight seems to lead the way for them. With this Ornn blind pick, it will give them a lot of options. They're going to save the counter pick for Nisqy in mid. And yeah, so far, pretty straightforward, pretty stock standard, pretty Teamfight focused. A little bit of the weaker side. They're going to get pushed in the bot side of the map. They're likely going to get pushed, given that Alphari will get counter pick against the Ornn as well, which means that it's kind of up to the mid jungle from the Mad Lions to be able to really have agency in the early game.
And it becomes hard to have agency into someone that can wave clear like an Azir as well. Like, he can just put his soldiers down, clear out that wave. How are you going to get around the map? Now, this is Sejuani top. It's the expectation for Alphari. Very good into bruisers, has a lot of damage, has a lot of sustained DPS in the fight, especially when you can constantly put on that passive and get the stuns down. And it's something we have seen just a little bit emerging on 12-10 and 12-11.
Well, I was watching Ornn stream this morning, and he was even playing a top lane. Yep. Like, talking a little bit about how we will see that Sylas finally locked in for Nisqy. This was actually one of his go-to champions. Back when he was on Fnatic, it was Twisted Fate, Ryze, Sylas. These are the three go-to that he was typically the most confident on, so no surprise to really see that. But going back to the Sejuani, it's very good into many tank matchups, right? You can out-bully, you can out-trade. Often you'll run the Ignite plus the Teleport. My only concern with the Sejuani here is the amount of mobility on the side of Mad Lions. Everyone knows the Xmithy. It is very difficult to land that ultimate against champions like Zeri. Wukong has the ability to be very slippery with his W. The Sylas has a huge amount of mobility. So in terms of the matchup, yes, I am a little bit concerned in terms of will it be able to successfully lock down all of these mobile champions. But when you look at what Vitality have drafted, they did need a little bit more utility, more engage. So Alphari will be responsible for that. And, you know, at the very start of the split, we're going to have a big spotlight on Alphari. He's a player that the community loves to criticize as someone who can have a huge impact in the top lane, but not necessarily bring it to the rest of the map. On Sejuani, he's going to have to, right? So it's going to be exciting to watch. We are jumping into our first game of the day and of the weekend. It is, of course, the Super Week. We have 3 days, today, tomorrow, and on Sunday. Action-packed League of Legends here in Europe, and we're already off to a banger. I'm very excited. But it does seem that we had a bit of a draft issue. It seems that the players could not swap, so it will give us a little bit more time.
I mean, Nami mid would have been great to watch, I'll be honest, but it's not going to be Nami mid. It's going to go down towards that support role, so we do just have to wait for these two teams to switch everything around. And while we do, I think we can talk a little bit about how the compositions are facing off against each other. Like, from a more holistic standpoint, it looks very much to me like we are going for more coordinated team fights, perhaps a bit of skirmishing from Vitality down towards that bottom lane with the Nami Lucian, but Mad Lions seem very happy just say, okay, we're going to scale, we're going to try and get to a position where we can take those full-on 5v5s, and then our mobility and the Wukong diving your backline is going to make it very tricky for you to play the game.
I would say that both sides have a good amount of team fight power.
Yeah.
I would say that Mads is a little bit easy to execute. When you think about Yuumi, Zeri, very scary, very powerful bot lane the longer the game goes, and Ornn, his ability to engage.
I mean, Wukong Ornn is just, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
right?
it's a very lethal combo, and then you just kind of have Nisqy being very flexible. He can steal a lot of good ultimates. He has a lot of options with Zhao ultimate can be very powerful in terms of actually just getting in the fight and not having to worry about those range threats in the team fight. You can steal Sejuani ultimate if you want more engage. You can steal Lucian ultimate, which does a lot of damage. Like, he has a lot of great options and a team fight focused meta. That's very much what I expect. I think the biggest thing to keep our eyes on is that with Vitality's draft, they have a lot more early game agency, right? You have Azir in the mid lane into a melee matchup. It means Perkz is going to have push. Sejuani into Ornn. I can't say that I'm super familiar with that matchup.
I mean, considering I don't think it's ever been played in the history of LEC in the past.
But I will say that my expectations are that very early on, it could be pretty even. Ornn with his W has a lot of trading power, but the moment that Sejuani gets level 3, she should be able to actually bully out that Ornn. And what I've seen with a lot of Sejuanis do is they take a lot of short trades, and they can actually be very aggressive in the 1v1, especially when they run this Ignite. And then on top of that, you have a Lucian Nami in the bot side of the map for Vitality. So you have a lot of early game agency, which then just gives Haru the ability to be more aggressive. And he's on a jungler that allows him to fight, right? When we think about these two junglers in isolation, Wukong wants to scale up a little bit, wants to farm, has fast clear, but is offering more value in the team fights later on. Xin is much more aggressive in the early game, can win out on a lot of 1v1s, and he still offers good teamfight value later on in his ability to soak up damage thanks to his ultimate. So I think that Vitality basically have more options in the early game, while still also having pretty good scaling. The biggest difference in scaling is, okay, we have an Azir in mid versus a Sylas, who Sylas will be harder to play than Azir will later on into the game, versus Zeri Yuumi, right? So I would give a slight edge to Mad in terms of the scaling, but I wouldn't say that it's so dramatic that Vitality wouldn't be able to win team fights later on. And overall, this is kind of matching my expectations. A lot more team fighting, less early game action. With the durability changes and with the tower changes, we know that making early game plays is just harder to find success. That doesn't necessarily mean that the tools to get early leads don't exist all of a sudden. It's just that they are slightly different. So eyes on Vitality to see what they do in the early game, and eyes on Haru, a player that is supposed to bring change to Vitality, supposed to make this roster stronger. They did finish 5th during playoffs. And I know that the team and the organization has much higher expectations with the roster that they have.
Oh, definitely. And Haru actually undefeated on Zhao this year. Played 11 times in the NFC and in the EU Masters. So he's on a champion he's very comfortable with. And Vitality said they were bringing him in to try and shore up perhaps some of the synergy issues that they had in spring. And this roster continues to look like, on paper, one that should be battling at the top of the LEC. One that in 8 weeks should be in that top 3, top 4 conversation. The question is, can they turn around their fortunes from spring? Because spring was not a good look for them, and nor was it a good look for the Mad Lions, who have also made that change in the mid lane.
So, I have good news. The draft has been remade. We are slowly getting into the game, and we are about ready to jump into our very first match of the day. I am so excited to watch these two teams go up against each other. We have the return of Nisqy. We have the addition of Haru. We get to see so many well-known European players back on the Rift, and we're in for a banger.
We've got a return of fans as well, Vedi.
The return.
Although
of
I
fans.
can't really hear them at the moment. Can you hear the fans at all?
No.
No? It's strange how quiet it is in here, considering that there's so many... No, nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
It is a pleasure to have you all here. It is an absolute wonder. We got to chat with some of you earlier on in the day. You were all an absolute treat. Those at home may get an opportunity to watch tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. We're still waiting to get into the game, guys.
We're still waiting. We're stalling. We're stalling. You don't have to keep cheering.
It's fine. Gonna burn out your voices. It's only game 1. We've got 5 to go today. 15 over the weekend. And it's gonna be a superb weekend of League of Legends, I am sure. Oh, it feels good, man. Feels good to be back. Vitality versus Mad coming up next.
League of Legends!
Let's go!
And it's slow, obviously.
I mean, it's 30 seconds in, Betty. Like,
well, listen, I watched an LCK game where I saw 35 minutes until first blood happened, okay?
Peak gameplay.
I respect the attempt, you know?
That was good.
You've got to be ambitious with these things.
You really do. I think the important thing is putting yourself out there on these sorts of cheers. Sometimes it doesn't follow up, but as we see Haru getting spotted out by a
the UOL guy never gave up.
No.
He didn't care.
No.
He was a diehard fan to the end. Shout out to you, UOL guy.
We have a few UOL guys back this season.
Yes, we do.
Chachi and
that will be in our
coming
second game of the day. But let's have a look here. A bit of vision invested.
Astralis don't play in the second game, mate. It's BDSSK.
My schedule today. There's a lot of League of Legends this weekend.
There's a lot of League of Legends this weekend.
I have to cast a lot of teams, okay? You can't expect me to have
10
perfect
of them.
memory. So many.
Really is. But for the moment, not really too much expected to happen in the early game. You can see that line of scrimmage put down by both the teams. Junglers starting on opposite sides of the map. It looks like Haru will start by himself at the red buff, which is great for Carzzy and Labrov. Because when you are playing Electrocute Nami, like you are here alongside the Lucian, you want to be in that lane as soon as possible. You want to get as much harass down as possible. And you can see Unforgiven and Kaiser realizing this, haven't actually gone for the heal exhaust ignite combination that you can on the Yuumi Zeri. Instead, double exhaust from them. So they know they're in for a world of hurt.
Does seem a little excessive, but, you know, as you rightly said, clearly damage mitigation is the name of the game for them.
It's a durability patch, man. They've got to be as durable as possible.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I'm having a look at this path thing coming out from Elyoya. Looks like he's doing red into blue to then potentially path back up towards the top side. Also make sure that he secures that early red, gets the... Okay, so what I believe he did was he got the early pull from Armut on his red, cleared that, backtracked down to his blue because he knows the potential of getting invaded at level 3 is very real with the pushing bot lane. So Haru, you can see doing his red into Raptors into a top side clear. There was the real risk of Haru doing a red into a bot side clear, into then a bot side invade to try and contest Elyoya on that blue buff. Alphari is able to get that early push, partly due to the fact that Armut was offering that pull for his jungler, which means kind of comes back. If we have a look at this mini-map, which I'm going to bring up for you right now, you can see that pushing lane over towards the top lane, pushing lane towards mid, pushing lane towards bot. This is very much what we expected in the early game. Vitality have a lot more early game agency in terms of what they want to do, and the question is, how will Haru utilize this? So far, he's not doing anything too crazy. That deep ward up towards the top side, I'm going to bring up the mini-map once again, just to very quickly highlight it.
It's been a while since you got to play with your tools.
It's true, but that ward in particular was set up by Alphari to give information as to where Elyoya could be. Haru won't spot out Elyoya right now, but he knows that he can actually move up towards these Perkz and secure it. And with the pressure that he has in both mid and top, he knows that the collapse coming out from Vitality will be much faster. So overall, this is the type of thing that you want to be seeing and leveraging when you have this early game pressure, stealing away camps, trying to get whatever small advantage you can.
And we actually see Carzzy and Labrov resetting down towards the bottom side. I wonder if they're going to try and get a ward up towards the Scuttle Crab there, because Haru diving forward to Elyoya. Elyoya will just dash away, but Haru can now come back down to this top side Scuttle Crab, secure that, and if you get vision down towards the bottom side as well, as Nisqy goes in for Perkz. Whew! That was close. Labrov here with a little bit of healing if Perkz needs it, and he does, as he's able to force Nisqy away. But there's a possibility of a double scuttle, is what I was trying to get to. Haru is taking that top side one, but it looks like Unforgiven and Kaiser should be able to push out the bot lane in time for Elyoya to come down and at least challenge for that bot side scuttle.
Well, that's a big question right now, because Carzzy and Labrov did get a cheeky, well, Labrov didn't, but Carzzy went for a cheeky recall. Will now return to the lane, and now he's even stronger. Has boots with health pots plus longswords. And this will give him a lot more agency, but it looks like that bot Scuttle Crab will in fact be uncontested. Props to Nisqy, his return to the LEC, his debut return on the Mad Lions, formerly of Fnatic.
I mean, it's two LCS imports, isn't it? Both of them played for C9, Sjokz and Nisqy.
It was really funny watching the pre-game lobby where they were saying, may the better C9 mid win. It was a bit of banter. As they said, the mental warfare starts the moment that these players log into the lobby. And already they were throwing disses at each other. Always a good bit of banter between the teams. He will get that push in. This should give him the opportunity to reset. He might not have to invest his TP here if he doesn't want to. But this bot wave is the very dangerous part right now for Mad Lions. Haru not going to look for that gank, but very smart from Elyoya to actually path back down to offer that cover, because it's at this window where you try and push that wave underneath the tower so that you can look to reset. That's where you're the most vulnerable. But it looks like that they will be able to get away to safety as Carzzy and Labrov set up a bit of a freeze in the bot lane. And Labrov going to take his base. So far, stock standard, nothing too crazy. Everyone kind of doing what they're supposed to do, and pretty much even across the board. Somewhat as we expected with the durability changes.
Let's talk a little bit more about those durability changes. Of course, 12-10 was the patch on which they came. We're currently playing on 12-11, but everyone getting a base HP increase, HP per level increase, armor per level, and MR per level increase just means that the damage that you put down is not as much as it used to be. You're not as likely to be burst out of lane, you're not as likely to die in lane, assuming everything is equal to how you played on 12-9. But alongside that, the turret changes were a big deal coming into these patches. On 12-10, obviously, turrets were incredibly strong, and on 12-11, we saw the outer turrets nerfed a little bit from where they were, but they're still doing 70 damage per hit more at 13 minutes than they did on 12-9.
Yeah, and of course that stacks, right? Every time you get hit, it just gets worse and worse the longer that you're underneath that tower, so tower diving becomes much harder. Speaking to Yamato on Euphoria, he was talking about how during the first few minutes of the game, early dives are still possible. They're harder, but they are definitely still possible. So you see a bit of trading between the two tanks in the top lane. Great example there of Alphari showcasing the strength of Sejuani in this matchup in particular. But yeah, basically you have champions are harder to kill, and towers are harder to dive. And from a pro player's perspective, that basically means that the early game slows down pretty dramatically, because one of the most conventional ways of getting an early lead is you play towards a strong side of the map, you stack a wave, and then you push mid, and then you collapse towards that strong side, whether it be top or bot. Now, that's just harder, because not only is the champion harder to kill in the dive, but the tower assisting the champion that you are trying to dive is now going to hurt you more. So everything about it basically becomes riskier. LPL don't care. They still dive. But
and you can still dive, like, if you juggle the aggro properly. And with the tower damage actually only increasing over time, the early tower shots aren't that much harder than they were on 12-9. So if you dive at 3 minutes, sure, you can still make it work. It's just you're tower diving at 3 minutes, and that's a pretty tricky affair nonetheless.
But as a result of those changes, we're seeing situations like this. It's also week 1, remember. Ooh, it's a shift back. Nisqy.
You guys are getting way too excited for that. Come on.
Hey, back, man. You got to give them this, okay? They'll take what they can get. It's when the ward kills. Cheers.
It's going to happen. Through. Now that you've mentioned it, it's going to happen.
It's true. It's like the don't think about an elephant thing.
Yeah.
And now all you can think about is an elephant.
Exactly.
Probably on a little ball, doing like a handstand.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, that's just
LEC has often been called a circus, but I don't think we need to go that far in terms of our metaphors, Vedi. Still only about 300 gold between these two teams early on here. You can see Nisqy shoves out the waves, gets poked out a little bit, is the difficulty of a ranged into melee matchup. But considering the fact that Mad Lions probably have 3 losing lanes in the early game, you look at these CS numbers, Armut's behind about 10, 12. There's a wave there for him. Unforgiven has 7 minions here to catch, so he's only going to be behind around 6 if he farms all of these up. In mid lane, it's about a 10 CS discrepancy. So
well, this is where we see the big advantage come through, because you can see the Perkz has already been able to collapse. Nisqy forced to use his TP just there, but Perkz already there in position. Alphari also gets to rotate down, and look at this bot lane from Vitality on their way up as well. So Mad will be at a numbers disadvantage if they try to contest this.
Alphari could look for the Glacial Tomb, chucks it out, hits Elyoya, who's already used the dash away. There's the bubble follow-up. First blood for Vitality.
Clean kill from Vitality. Alphari knew that, well, he knew that he could force a flash or get a kill. He threw out the ultimate, good collapse overall, and just good play from Vitality. Mad, they were at a numbers disadvantage. I think that in that situation, you need to try and trade for the Drake, or you need to just push your wave so that you can get a better reset, but they end up contesting, they end up getting punished, and Vitality draw first blood of the split.
That's exactly what you're talking about with the priority, meaning that Carzzy could move up first, Labrov could move up first, Unforgiven and Kaiser able to push in this lane, but Carzzy smart enough to check, make sure there was no one waiting in the bush, and because of that he walks to his lane safely. So good early start here for Vitality. Rift Herald picked up by Haru. Didn't get an assist on that, but definitely helped his team get this small early lead. And Haru, obviously an incredibly storied player, Vedius. We've seen him go through many iterations of Korean rosters and now has joined us from the NLC, where he was playing on X7, to become part of this Vitality lineup.
Yeah, at the bottom of your screen you can see his total number of professional games, that he was a long mainstay in the LCK, and I reached out to Atlas to get a little bit more insight, and the way he described Haru was kind of unmet potential. There were always very high expectations for him as a player, but regardless of the rosters that he was on, it felt like that you can never really live up to his potential. And now he kind of gets a fresh start here in the LEC. And I think of players like Malrang, who, if they'd stayed in the LCK, you have to wonder, would they have been able to achieve what they had done here in the LEC? And Malrang really did make a big name for himself and a big splash last split. So we'll see if Haru can do the same. Eyes are, of course, on him, as he did replace Selfmade, a player that many Europeans are very familiar with. Perkz tries to go in for the play. Nisqy is prepared, is ready, and is able to dodge it. Elyoya hovering around with Yuumi, but it looks like that the group is gathering in the mid lane.
Haru maybe trying to position here to get that Rift Herald down and then fight for the Ocean Drake. Elyoya and Kaiser will back away. Control Ward spots out Haru and Labrov, but once again you can see Unforgiven has to push the wave out.
Okay, fans. Yeah.
I told you, as soon as you mention it, Vedius, it's always going to happen, man.
My bad.
I know it's been a while since we got a regular season with fans.
Was pretty insane.
What was that one for?
Because the Raptor died.
Nisqy's going to be able to walk away here. They're just challenging over the Razorbeaks here. Mid lane prio, obviously very important. Alphari working his way down from the top side. Ping of Danger does come out where he could be. I don't think Mad Lions actually know exactly where he is, but Vitality willing to back away from this one. 1,000 gold to the good right now. Armut, I mean, Alphari has no flash, so Armut can always just flash away from an engage, and Alphari won't want to give up the 4 minions left underneath his tower.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think like that they can 100-0 each other. That seems probable.
A lot of damage coming out from Carzzy. There's the exhaust. Unforgiven stepping forward now, dodging away from the Aqua Prison, but
they still have another one.
They do. They have that second exhaust, so that's Summoner.
Look at Haru hovering around bot, and Wukong is in mid. If he gets spotted, this will be the go signal of Vitality.
Carzzy looking for it. Final chapter coming out. Unforgiven looking for the root. The exhaust goes down as well. Unforgiven flashes, dodges the tidal wave, and now Labrov has to be very careful. Haru dives forward once again. Kaiser tries to get back on, but now that cat has nowhere to go. Put down by Labrov. Vitality 3 on the board.
I think he actually picked that one up because of the electrocute, but regardless, that will be 2 kills going in favor of Vitality. The double exhaust coming in clutch there. Carzzy, he does everything in his power to dodge everything, but he still gets hit by that second exhaust. He gets kited out by Unforgiven. And Mad Lions, they will find their first kill of the game, but overall, Vitality not too upset. They're able to push in the wave. They're able to get a reset off, and let's have a look at this. So that exhaust comes through. He's rooted in the brush, and it doesn't matter if Unforgiven has vision on him or not, because he can just throw his Qs over the wall, secure that kill. So well played by the Mad Lions bot lane to do what they could, but they were at the numbers disadvantage. The Wukong was trying to set up a play in the mid lane, so he wasn't there to assist, and this Herald is just here.
Yep. Well identified, Betty. Yeah, not sure why it was put down. Call of Fortune coming out. Alphari does get the stun, does get knocked up as well. That Brittle's going to do a little bit of work. Ignite is ticking. Armut low. No mana on him. No mana on Alphari either. It's Ornn. Ornn always wins. Alphari with the grass pot gets a little bit of healing back as Armut looks for more of a trade. They have no mana. And Nisqy has enough to secure his first kill of summer.
I think if Nisqy didn't show up, I don't know if they could have killed each other because they had no mana. But Nisqy is able to secure the kill. Vitality will use this Herald in the bot lane to get a couple plates for Labrov and Carzzy. This will be an exchange back for Mad Lions, but Vitality off to a pretty good start in this early game. That will be 2 plates going into Armut's pocket. But Perkz was able to push in mid, and he should be able to secure himself a plate as well. So Vitality overall pretty happy with how the early game is going.
You can actually see, because that Rift Herald was put down towards that bottom side, Haru's got the largest gold advantage on any of the players here. 600, 500 gold ahead. And the rest of the map relatively even. You know, there's about a 400 difference between Unforgiven and Carzzy, and then of course support difference. We can talk about it if you want. Getting 700 gold closer to your Imperial mandate for Labrov is a big thing. And we'll see how they're able to use that Mythic, because Labrov is the strongest right now that he'll be in the entire game. That's kind of how supports work. As Perkz comes in, Nisqy's going to have to flash across the wall here. Perkz could slide and glide forward, but even with the tidal wave moving in, he decides against following up.
Having a look at some of the objectives that are coming up soon. The Herald, the second one of the game, will be up shortly. Vitality will very likely be looking to contest, but I want to remind people that both sides still looking to scale.
No flash.
Team fighting is going to be the name of the game for this one, even with Vitality accruing this early game gold lead. As Armut dabs on his opponent.
This is my favorite emote. The animated dab is just... why does Penguin need sunglasses?
The dab has kind of fallen out of fashion. Do you reckon that means that we can bring it back?
I don't think we should bring it back, but I think it's now ironically cool to do it.
Oh.
Unlike Sheesh.
So
Sheesh is uncool now. It's moved into the dab territory.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Obviously, we're allowed to determine this.
As a 31-year-old, I think I have my finger on the pulse of today's youth.
We're down with the kids, right? Totally.
Yep.
We're hip. So, the Herald will be secured by Vitality.
Second one of the game for them.
Pretty much uncontested. Mad, though, will have Prio on mids. Nisqy is pushing in bot. Observers, can we have a quick cheeky look at Nisqy? See what he's up to? All right, so he should be able to slowly secure this tower. I imagine that this will largely go uncontested. The problem is that he is committed to killing this tower, which means that Vitality can generate a numbers advantage mid and drop the Herald there to trade it back in their favor. So while Mad will secure this one, Vitality should be able to secure another, and if they wanted to, they can push towards the second tier 2.
They're going to fight. Elyoya is coming. You can see it from the top side as well. Armut diving in.
That's big damage though onto Unforgiven.
Immortal Shield will procced. Armut Pape's just looking for something here. Elyoya goes forward, but it's only Alphari who's found, and Armut will walk away. The tower fallen already in the mid lane, and as you say, I think the fact that Unforgiven was chunked out so much forced Mad Lions to reevaluate their mid lane plans.
So this was a situation where you've very correctly spotted the TP advantage that Mad Lions had available to them, which meant that they could create the numbers advantage in mid by creating this TP flank. However, the problem was Unforgiven got chunked out at the very start of the fight. Then the engage became very awkward because Elyoya, his only real target was the Sejuani, which obviously is not the target that you really want to engage on, which ultimately meant the engage fell apart, which then allowed Perkz to secure a top tier 1. So Vitality find themselves with a 2-tower advantage to 1. The Dragon lead, the Herald lead, and overall leads across the board. So it's been a slow and steady game, but props to Vitality. They've leveraged their early prio to get the early lead, which is very much what we expected based on the draft that we saw. As the game progresses and as we get further and further into team fights, my expectations are that Mad will feel a lot more comfortable and they should feel stronger than Vitality. But there are variables that you have to take into consideration. The biggest one will be Perkz on this Azir, a champion that is very well known for his late game dominance. We'll see how well Perkz can, what's the word? Operate the Emperor of Shurima?
Pilot is the word I often use.
That is the word I was looking for, yes.
And yeah, that's the thing for Perkz, right? He's gone for the Leandry, so he's looking to like work his way through some of the tankier members of Mad. Armut, obviously one of those key targets for him, just chip away, chip away, chip away, and does give you a lot of extra damage for the squishier members as well. I wonder if Mad Lions are waiting for Kaiser. Oh, Glacial Prison dodged away by the decoy. Smart stuff there by Elyoya. And there's one of the issues with that engage. Labrov able to dodge to the side on the knockup. Haru knocks him back as well with the Crescent Guard. Does still have the flash here and will have to use it. to escape. There's a blast going for Labrov, and he'll escape as well. But I wonder if Mad are waiting for the Moonstone on Kaiser. Feels like he is very close to that with the Vandal Glass and the Kindle Gem already complete. And if they get to that point, maybe we'll start seeing them contest these fights a little bit more.
So I like what Vitality did there, mainly because, again, they're continuing to use their pressure in a very effective way. They kind of pushed in bots, they brought in their bot up towards mid, and then they pushed in top, pushed in mid, and they used the Azir turrets here to generate consistent pressure in the mid lane, which then made it easier to set up for an invade towards the top side. Then looking for a pick, everything is like, it's just smart play, you know? And when the game is slower, what I will say is that teams have a lot more time to think about how they want to execute. And that's where I think veterancy can be really valuable, because we know that there's a lot of smart players on this Vitality roster. And when you slow the game down, it gives them the ability to set up these very choreographed plays and execute them very well. With the Dragon spawning, Vitality, this will be the next objective, and Elyoya finds himself sitting on a ward.
Unforgiven going forward as well. Perkz looking for the flank here. Armut goes for him. Perkz able to slide away. Call of the Fortune going in as well. Elyoya could go for the engage. Nisqy in from the side. He misses the chains. Both of them knocked up between them. Haru, though, locked up by Armut. Mad Lions with their third kill of the game turn their eyes back towards the Dragon.
So I'm surprised that engage went so poorly, considering Vitality had so much information. Armut will flash away, but this will secure the second Dragon of the game towards Mad Lions. This will be another kill. But a lot of mishaps there. Just as I'm praising the team for their execution and map play, immediately Vitality get punished by...
They're just so split, right? You can see Perkz down towards one side is trying to get in. Elyoya dodges away. Vitality know he's there. And how can Perkz ever get near this?
I think as well, yeah, you're quite right. They split up very quickly. Alphari's sitting behind the wall right now, and that front line is so crucial in terms of their engage. Carzzy and Labrov get separated from Haru, who doesn't have his flash available, and then Perkz not really able to join the fight. So as you rightly said, even though Vitality was looking to collapse, Mad
got to collapse at the same time.
Yeah, Mad did the right thing in attacking one of the angles with which they were being collapsed on, and was able to find a good fight.
And a smart person to attack as well. No Crescent Guard because he used it earlier in the top side of the map, and no Flash because he used it then as well. So Mad Lions catch out the enemy jungler, get themselves their first Dragon of the game, and get themselves a little bit more time to scale. Moonstone now complete on the Yuumi. Unforgiven has that Immortal Shield Bow, and on his way to his second item as well. You can see Armut already level 13. We're going to have those ornaments coming in soon. It's Christmas for Mad as Armut dishes out presents left and right.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that myself. The
like we've cast together for a while, isn't it,
We're
Vedi?
so in tune, in sync. You're quite right. The upgrades for Mad Lions will just continue to give them a power boost, and we talked about how Mad, I believe at the very least, have that slight scaling advantage. I still think that the team fights can be very close. Execution is going to be very important. But yeah, we're kind of waiting for the next objective now. Baron is an option. Azir will take that objective very quickly, and you could probably duo it with Azir plus Sejuani if you really wanted to. So Mad, they're cautious around that objective. They'll just pop the Scryer's Bloom.
Good one.
That's the one I was looking for. And we'll get insight, and now they'll use this mid-prio to move up to the river, clear out some of this vision, and the vision dance will continue.
It's always fun to watch how teams sort of coordinate around this. As a fighting connoisseur, I will say I prefer fights, but you've seen how Vitality played the early portion of the mid-game very well, setting up their lane prio and then moving it into other lanes. Mad Lions able to do a similar thing as they pushed out the bottom lane and then moved Elyoya behind the enemy team. And now Alphari here pushing forward by himself. Doesn't have flash, of course. Elyoya spotted on a ward, just making sure that Alphari doesn't stay too much longer. Ping is coming down towards the mid lane. Armut's going to dash away here. Carzzy going forward. Tidal Wave coming out as well. Bellows Breath to stop the stun. Rune Prison locks him up, though. Cullen coming out as the damage continues. TP now. Vitality on the retreat. Final chapter going out. Haru rooted up. Knocked up. Labrov rooted. Shut down. Haru pops the Crescent Guard. Alphari has to dash away as soon as he TPs in, and Mad Lions find another pick.
Seemed to me that Vitality believed that they could disengage effectively from that fight, but Nisqy really committed, and Armut with a beautiful knock-up onto Labrov meant that they could find themselves another kill, reclaim a little bit of map control. They're still down in towers. Vision, they haven't really been able to push into the enemy jungle, but Elyoya with a pick.
Perkz going forward, Unforgiven trying to join Glacial Prisoner onto Unforgiven could be enough to shut down Elyoya. Perkz has to flash away. Unforgiven going forward as Kaiser dashes onto his jungler. Haru chunked out. The final shot from the prowling projectile will find its prey. Unforgiven ignited, ticking, still surviving. Nisqy going in as Perkz has to dash away.
Mad continue to find picks, and they may very well be able to force a Baron here. Question is, if they're going to do it. Looks like not for now. They're going to disengage. They're going to be happy with the kills that they secured. And it's interesting, Vitality felt very safe with the vision that they had in their side of the jungle. They were not expecting Elyoya to just commit to this fight. And you can see like Perkz just gets immediately collapsed on, and this is where we talk about the mobility. The fight becomes quite split, but Elyoya at this point in the game has the damage to deal with both Perkz and Haru, and then Haru ends up getting killed by Kaiser on the Yuumi. And look at the mobility coming out from Unforgiven, just barely able to get away, but this is a bot lane that's very difficult to lock down. Double exhaust, the constant heals, the bonus movement speed, the ability to slide over walls and parkour wherever your heart pleases. It's just a very difficult composition to lock down, and Mad is very rapidly closing that goal gap.
It becomes even harder if Kaiser gets himself something like a Mikhail's, which it looks to be where he may be going with his next item. Even if you land the Glacial Prism, Mikhail's immediately Unforgiven is out of there. Vitality trying to get a little bit of vision up towards this Baron, but the last few fights have not gone their way. They do still have the gold lead, but it feels like compositionally, Mad Lions are on the front foot, scaling well into this game. Armut looking for a knock-up. That's a little bit of extra speed there from Kaiser as well. Importantly for Vitality, they do still hold this mid lane tier 1. Makes it a lot easier for them to gain purchase on the map because you know you have that safe turret to retreat to. Although I will say with an Ornn in the game and a Frozen Fist and oh, what's that item called? Glacial Shroud. Is that Glacial Shroud?
Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart is the one. Builds out a Glacial Shroud, sorry. It's a little bit trickier to stay under your tower because Armut can just tank it for quite a while. True.
I mean, the difficulty for Mad is going to be sieging onto these towers. Azir has really prominent wave clear, and then you also have the Lucian culling, and yeah, there's a lot. It's a difficult. Mad kind of has to threaten a dive or get good poke in order to really siege. And I think Vitality made a wise choice not trying to contest that objective for the time being. Alphari chose to push all the way through the top lane, get a better base off. Now they're in a better position to contest this Baron. And it could be the next big fight opportunity. Nisqy on the flank, steals away the Sejuani ultimate, is level 14. And as they move back up towards the Baron, okay, Mad doing a great job of playing around the waves for the time being. Sides have been abandoned. Armut does have the TP, but they want to keep this front line with them. It's really important that when you have things like the Ornn and the Sejuani, that you leverage them to face check the dark areas of the map, and also that your engage is with you. So really you need to rely on Perkz and Nisqy to act as your side lane.
Stun onto Unforgiven, he dashes across the wall, tidal wave coming out as well. Good bubble with the Aqua Prism, but Alphari now on the back foot. Final chapter coming in. There's the call of the Forge God, the TP on the other side as well, and there's a choke point for Mad Lions. They find one, Nisqy flashes in, double Everfrost, the Cyclone follows. Elyoya is bringing the thunder, bringing the storm to Vitality as they are forced back underneath their tower.
We saw a great example there of what we were talking about in draft. When you lock in Sejuani against a composition like this, there's so much mobility, and I think the engage was good from Alphari, but the gap that Unforgiven was able to create in such quick response as well was just some of the power that Zeri has in this situation. So well played by Unforgiven. Mad find themselves a very quick pick, and the Baron is being started off. This is quite slow. Alphari does have TP.
Good bubble.
And they found Nisqy.
No vision, though. Nisqy pops the Crescent Guard. Carzzy dashing in. Nisqy exhausted, but Carzzy's the one that falls. Nisqy healed up. Moonstone and Zoomies is just too much. Healing on 12-11 is so darn strong, and Kaiser is showing us just what you can do with a Yuumi pick here.
Wow. Okay, so Mad Lions walk away with another pick, and remember, for the last like 20 minutes now, it's just been Mad Lions pick after pick after pick after pick, and they've just been punishing everything that Vitality has been trying to do. We haven't really seen a fully fledged front-to-back team fight. We're going to be slipping ahead a little bit, and Nisqy just sitting on this brush looking for a pick. He knows that the re-engage is going to come through. Good bubble from Labrov, but Carzzy just doesn't quite have the damage. Nisqy, even though exhausted, is able to tank up so much, and then the healing and the shielding that comes through from the Yuumi is enough to get him to safety. And Nisqy's able to get away with his life. Big debut game for Nisqy. We know that he had a lot to prove. He wanted to showcase that he was definitely still LEC ready. The fact that his departure from Fnatic and he wasn't picked up by a team was a shock to many. And I think that his acquisition in the Mad Lions, everyone saw it as a tangible upgrade. In particular, in that mid-jungle role, Elyoya still had a very strong split last split. So pairing him up with a very prominent mid laner like Nisqy, we were expecting results, and so far Mad Lions demonstrating that as we get closer to the 30-minute mark.
And for Mad, is obviously having such a bad spring split, they really needed a change that would have an immediate impact, and Nisqy seeming to do that in Game 1. Of course, only the first game of an 18-game-long season, so they've got a bit of time to continue to work on any mistakes that they may have had, but the start is looking good. Vitality made a change of their own. Haru coming in. His early game was strong. Vitality had a few early game leads, but since then he just really hasn't been able to find a way to fight here. It may be a compositional diff. It may just be Vitality not always on the same page. Call of the Forge God coming out. Alphari stunned for a second. And they look for the damage underneath the tower. Final chapter being used here as well as Haru has to pop the Crescent Guard and Mad Lions tank the tower and just back away.
Well, we talked about how difficult it is for Mad to siege against this composition, and they did the right thing. You have to threaten a dive to force Vitality away, and this was the best window because Perkz is in a bot lane. They thought maybe we can get the TP out from Perkz because we don't have teleport right now, but then we can get that TP advantage and then we have windows to play around Baron. Perkz never used his TP. He just chose to reset, and even without him, Vitality were able to hold the tower. With Alphari using his ultimate, Haru using his, the disengage from the Nami ultimate, Vitality have a lot of tools to make it difficult for you to really engage onto them, and Vitality held the line and keep their mid-tower alive.
And it means that Perkz now at 3 items, Void Staff complete alongside the Liandry's and the Demonic Embrace. He will do a lot of damage in these team fights if he is given time to free reign on his opposition. Armut here with the Demolish proc on the tower, almost takes it, can't quite get it. Alphari pushing forward still. Unforgiven coming in as well as Perkz perhaps looks for a flank position. The speed up from the Zoomies means that Armut is able to escape, as is Elyoya. TP now from Nisqy as Mad Lions look to fight around their third dragon of the game. It's an Infernal for them, would put them on soul point. Perkz puts down the tower in the mid lane as he wants to keep that wave pushed towards the Mad Lions base. Elyoya on a long flank. We've seen him do this already in this game. Vitality may just say, hey, you guys take the dragon, we'll go for the Baron, but there's still vision for Mad Lions around that. Dragon will be taken very quickly. Mid lane tower forwards. Perkz does not get across the wall. He's trying to join his bird friends there, and Vitality just setting up around this, but the vision behind them actually makes it very difficult for them to fully bait this one out. Haru sweeps out a ward. Mad Lions now know they don't really want to walk too far forward into this. Top lane wave is pushing forward. Mid lane wave now caught by the Mad Lions. There's still a Sun Disc behind them though, so their minions will be culled, as Vitality may be just looking for a tier 2 out of this whole affair.
But Vitality are investing 5 people towards the top side of the map. This will give Mad control over mid. I'm surprised they don't push for more. They're choosing to go for the river control. I really think they could have threatened that tier 2 in the mid lane if they wanted to, but instead they're going to disengage. Both teams showing a lot of respect to one another, kind of as you expect early on in the season. Teams very cautious, very patient when they first return to the stage. And I want to remind people that even though expectations are that Mad do have a slightly stronger scaling comp, Vitality still have a lot of options.
Oh, definitely.
Perkz is level 16, he has 3 items completed.
He's got a 550 gold bounty, by the way.
He is very powerful, 321 CS at just short of 31 minutes. The man is a farming machine right now. Carzzy at 3 items.
What sort of machine? Like a tractor?
Like
combine harvester?
Like a harvesting machine.
Yeah, it's a farming machine, right?
Yes. Why do you know so much about farming?
My mum was a farmer, actually.
Really?
We used to have lambs.
Really?
Yeah.
So you didn't farm crops?
I didn't do any of it. I was a baby.
You were a baby?
And yeah,
that's a poor excuse. I feel like that if you had committed a little harder, you could have contributed
just
to the
crawling on all fours, putting the seeds in the ground.
how hard is it really to operate a tractor, medic? Come on.
Wow, you just insulted all the farmers that listen to this show.
I'm just questioning how hard really is it.
It's very rude.
I just asked how hard is it, medic?
I can't believe you do that,
Yeah.
I'm going to get letters from the farmers now.
Farmers community, how dare you?
But yes, he is a farming machine, as you say. As Vitality trying to get some control over this mid lane. Alphari does have TP. So does Armut, though, so he can match this. Looks like the Baron has been started by the Mad Lions. They're trying to pull this TP out. No real vision for Vitality on it, as the TP has been used. Elyoya looking for the flank position here. Ward's cleared out. Baron stopped by Mad Lions. Unforgiven. Will chunk just a little bit of Alphari's health, about 320 damage there.
They got what they wanted, which was the TP out from Nisqy. Sorry, not Nisqy, from Alphari. That was the person. The reason why I was thinking about Nisqy was because he still doesn't have TP, but he will get his up relatively soon, and Armut still has a TP. So I was just about to say they'll send Armut to bot lane, likely, because he now has the TP advantage. And the responsibility is now on Vitality to try and pressure him to joining the fray. But Mad have the ability to. The resets need to come through. Armut should be able to push out this wave. They'll push out mid. Alphari needs to catch top, so Mad should be able to reset onto the map and feel pretty comfortable about themselves. But we're kind of building into that big team fight. We can see Unforgiven going for much more of the crit atomization. We're not really seeing that Titanic Hydra anymore. Of course, these changes have been repeatedly coming in for Zeri over the last few patches, so it's not really too surprising to see this itemization, but this champ will hurt. Mikhail's Crucible on the support right now, also to offer that extra bit of support towards Unforgiven. On top of the 2 exhausts, you're not locking this champion down. Unforgiven is going to be an absolute menace to deal with. And it's Dragon Point. A minute and a half. This is the main objective the Mad is playing for. They have the bot wave pushed in, they have mid pushed in, now they're contesting for this bot jungle. That damage onto Carzzy, I didn't even see where that came from.
I think it was Unforgiven.
Was that really just his W?
Through the wall. I think it's so strong, that W.
Oh,
the Ultra Shock laser can do up to 610 damage.
What? That's the ult.
Yeah. Alphari looking for something. Glacial Prison coming out. Nisqy's stolen away an ultimate of his own, Ignite ticking, and he'll just be traded ultimate for ultimate. Meanwhile, Alphari doesn't have TP and Nisqy does, so Nisqy's now going to teleport up towards this Baron as Mad Lions pull the trigger on it. Vitality's going to try and answer his Perkz, does have a position to get in here and slide and glide his way towards it. Warded, Haru, Call of the Fortune coming out, Perkz looking to get it across the wall, he's knocked up. Look at the damage of the Perkz! The Emperor's Divide goes back, he pops a stopwatch on Elyoya in the midst of them all as he's healed up by Kaiser. Shut down goes over to Armut. There's 2 as Kaiser takes another. Alphari joins, but it's too little, too late. It's roast ball for Mad Lions as they shut down Alphari, they shut down Vitality, and they secure the Baron.
5-0 in favor of Mad Lions, a clean ace, a Baron in their back pockets, and they could look to end the game.
It feels like this might be what we see from at least the start of 12-11. One team fight defines the game, and Mad Lions found the fight that they had been searching for this entire match. Vitality can only sit in the fountain and watch as Mad Lions claim their first win of Summer 2022.
Nisqy played that final team fight so well, stealing away Perkz' ultimate as he got way too close to the Baron. And as Perkz' ultimate came through, Nisqy's also then comes through, knocks both Haru and Perkz into melee range of the entire Mad Lions team. They get wiped off the map. And then it's just cleanup duty for the Mad Lions. Massive win for the team to start off their split. And this is the performance that the team needed. The introduction of Nisqy, a fantastic debut performance from him as well. Mad Lions, eyes will be on them over the rest of the Super Week.
Definitely, of course, 2 more games to play over the next couple of days, and Game 1 looked good. We're not going to draw any wide-reaching conclusions from it. We're not going to say the Mad Lions of 2021 are back, but they were solid. They played exactly to their win conditions. They were able to keep Vitality on a tight leash, because Vitality did have that early game lead. They were ahead in the early portions of the match, but they were never really able to snowball that lead, take that lead anywhere. And when it came to team fights, Mad Lions were just a cut above.
Yeah, it does feel like that when it came to the team fights, Vitality were just outperformed throughout. They had very good control of the early game. They leveraged their priority very well. They played the map very well, but it was just pick after pick after pick after pick going in favor of the Mad Lions. And then when it came down to that final fight, we talked so much about it. The TP bait from Alphari into then Nisqy having the TP advantage, into then TPing into the Baron, like everything from the Mad Lions in the mid to late game was just better.
Which is huge, because in spring, Mad Lions mid game was their fault. It was where they really struggled. Their early game was great. We saw Elyoya getting early leads across the board. But their mid game was especially bad.
It's early true.
They talked about how Humanoid leaving left kind of a void there for them. It seems like Nisqy coming back, at least for this game, has bolstered them just a little bit.
And it's just a good way to start the split. Obviously, it was a slow, controlled game by and large, but Mad Lions, they were once known for being teamfight monsters. Perhaps this will be the trend that they continue. Of course, when we look at the meta, this is kind of our expectations. Slightly slower early game, more controlled mid to late game is where you find success. And as you rightly said, Mad used to be famous for their mid to late game and their team fighting. And perhaps with the game slowing down, this is the type of environment where this team can find the most success.
Definitely a possibility. We'll see if they're able to do it. Vitality, obviously, on the other hand, struggled a little bit in this game, even though they were able to get those early leads. And perhaps it's just it was a draft thing, perhaps it's just a few teething issues, but we definitely want to see them continue to improve throughout the rest of the split.
We certainly do. Of course, we do have to give our Kia player of the game.
We do.
Go over to Twitter at LEC, and you can vote for Armut, Elyoya, or Nisqy. All very viable options. My vote would be to Nisqy, for sure.
You're saying that because he's over there, man. He's literally standing on the stage just
I wouldn't.
Look at him. He's over there. Just look at you. He's nodding now. Let's hand it over to Laure and Nisqy, who are waiting by the stage, on the stage. That's where they are, over there.
Thank you, guys. And also, happy birthday, Medic. this is your day today. Nisqy, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to the league. Okay, did you expect such a warm welcome from them? Okay, how good does it feel to hear them like this?
I mean, it feels good to be back. I feel like I missed playing competitively, and I think being on stage and with the fans, it just feels so good, especially when you win.
Of course.
I think it also feels good that I feel like in this team we all kind of trust each other, and we got each other's like back, kind of. Like if someone fails, it's like it doesn't really matter. Like just focus, and we can like make it up for like next play or something like that. And I think it showed today that even like the game wasn't going like the best, I think, in the early game, and then we just kept playing and just did our thing and won at the end. So.
I agree, but I think it makes sense given the composition you were playing that things didn't go so well in the early game. But as you said, trust, that is the important factor here. So can you talk me through the composition you chose? Because you knew that you would be maybe failing in the early game, but you trusted your ability to come back in team fights later.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game, if the game goes even or if we're a bit behind, at like 20, 25 minutes, we should win. And I think our map play was actually not the worst as well in mid-game. I think we didn't give them that many opportunities to like catch us. We cross-mapped a decent amount. And yeah, I just think we played a good game.
You played a really good game indeed, especially you on your Sylas. How would you rate your comeback onto the stage after this game?
I mean, I think it was pretty good. I mean, I beat the superstar Perkz, even though it's kind of washed after playing in an A, but I think I played pretty good. I think my early laning phase was not the best because I felt like I had some nerves, but after 4 to 5 minutes, it was normal again, and I think I did pretty good, yeah.
You did really good indeed. Nisqy, you were telling me that you missed being on stage. What did you miss the most about playing in the LEC?
I mean, kind of just the fans like cheering when we like make some plays. And then also, like, I don't know, it just feels like way more motivating to play when people kind of watch you and you actually see them rather than behind the screens. And yeah, I don't know, it just feels good.
This is not your first comeback to Europe even. You went to an A, came back afterwards. What is this summer about for you, Nisqy?
I mean, I think for me personally, I think I still want to show that I'm top 3 EU mid laners, even though I took technically a break last split. But also making Mad Lions go to Worlds again, because they have not been missing Worlds for the last, I think, 3 to 4 years. So yeah, bringing them to Worlds after they failed last split, I think will be a good achievement for myself and the team.
Well, hopefully you can make it happen. Nisqy, thank you so much for the interview.
You.
Welcome back again to the LEC. And Sjokz, back to you for post-game.
Awesome. Oh, that was great. I mean, it must feel great for Nisqy to come back to the studio, not only with all those cheers, Elyoya, but also with a win. Same for you. Congratulations. Yeah, the best start you could have hoped for, I guess. Are you happy with your play today?
I mean, I'm happy with the win. I'm happy with how the team played. I'm not happy with my individual performance. I think I missed a lot of opportunities and didn't play good at all. But I'm happy with the team play overall, and I'm really happy that we got our first win.
Yeah, wouldn't you say that's kind of natural because, you know, you have a new mid laner, you are getting used to the big patches that have come and that are throwing you into this one. The crowd is back. It's your first game. I don't think you have to be too hard on yourself personally, but...
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt a bit more nervous having crowd, and I remember that first blood, everyone is cheering when I got killed. I'm like, okay, now I guess I have to accept this, but it was really good, like playing with fans and like just winning the team fight, acing them, and the whole crowd going crazy. It's just a feeling I didn't experience before, and it's just like it keeps
That's
you
the coin
going.
toss, right? Because like if you're behind in the early game, it feels awful, and then if you're able to take it back, all of a sudden the momentum rides with you, and your opponent have to go against it, and then you take into the consideration that you were behind. You had the crowd cheering against you, and you're still able to overcome it. So I think that is a really good sign on the first day.
I want to pull up the... oh, also a reminder, Kia Player of the Game. You can vote for the Kia Player of the Game. It was between Armut, Elyoya, and Nisqy.
Get Nisqy. Get Nisqy.
Nisqy, okay.
Get Nisqy or it's scam.
So as in a second, we're also going to put the team comps up on stage, but I'd like to ask you specifically about the mid game, because something we identified with the Mad Lions in spring was the fact that where in the past, even in your run through of this championships, you were so good at your mid game decision making, at your team fights. It looked a lot better, especially today. Do you think that is something you specifically worked on?
Yeah, it's something that me specifically and as a team we have been working on, and I think the Nisqy has helped me a lot in terms of shot calling and like wave management in silence, so it has been a big improvement, but I still think we have a lot of room to improve when we play against, let's say, more punishing teams like can be G2 or Fnatic, and yeah, I think we just need to keep working on our mid game, but it's way better than last split, so...
It's only one game, but it's true.
That's the thing, right? Because you take a look at it, they fall a little bit behind in the early game. They pretty much have their lane shopped in. Haru gets to take a lot of space on the map, taking away your Crocs and all that, gets the 3 first objectives. But then they still manage to keep their head cool, right? They're not just rolling over and dying. They're actually managing to fight Perkz through team fights, because they, until like 30 minutes into the game or something like that, they're still behind in gold. But they were the ones that continuously found the Perkz. They're the one who drove the game forward. By Vitality kind of just set back a little bit, and Mad Lions got back in the game with all their objectives then.
And how was the first testing game in terms of the communication aspect that is now added with Nisqy? I guess this you can't train this, right? This is the only way you can see what's going to happen.
I mean, the communication, like, it felt much better to just play the game, and I think everyone was like had more clear what the objective was, and we were playing all together. And even though we maybe made some questionable calls or like something like that, we were all following them, so it worked. It's like Mad Lions 2021. We in, but we in together.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it like that. Mad Lions 2021, as we're in a second, I think, also going to look at the final fight. The final things I just want to ask you about is just, for you, the experience coming into League was crazy, as you say. You know, 2021, it couldn't be better. And then I feel like you've been brought back to earth in the spring split. How do you think you've evolved as a player because of kind of having to fight up against that, not making it to the playoffs?
I mean, I have for sure been brought to earth and like, well earthed that. No, but I mean, I think it's just good. I mean, right now that I can say, I think it's a good experience because I felt like I was not try-harding maybe as much. I think I relaxed a bit after, let's say, winning twice when I was not... I didn't have that good team as I had, for example, let's say 2021 on 2022 with 2 rookies, obviously. So I had to work harder and I didn't. So it was a good hit for my just to... A good reality hit.
Yeah, exactly. A reality check, you could even say. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're back now and better than ever. We'll be very excited to see how the Mad Lions do going forward. Thank you very much.
I'm going to prove I'm the best Wukong in this team. Like, Armut is no one.
You're not even the best Wukong in this team, Armut. Lovely. We're going to have a quick break, but when we come back, it'll be Team Vedius up versus SK Gaming. Don't go anywhere.
I'm gonna go take a break. Cool. Ooh.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.